These are the headlines. The Joint Services launch a manhunt for 3 men, all accused of murder, who scaled a fence and escaped the Lusignan prison. Carol Joseph gets bail on charges that she conspired to commit fraud in the 2020 general and regional elections. And Valda Lawrence and Claremont Mingo face 2 more charges. Grade 10 and 11 students are expected to be the first to return when schools reopen. And in sport, newly formed association aims to bring structure, address issues affecting the fitness industry. With the news, I'm Neil Marks. We're glad you could join us. 3 men, 2 accused of murder and the other robbery and murder, escaped from the Lusignan prison on Wednesday by jumping the southeastern fence of the prison, police headquarters reported. An intensive manhunt is underway for the men. The escapees have been identified as Mark Rufino of Good Intent West Bank, Demerara, who is committed to stand trial for robbery and murder. Alex Matthias of Good Hope, Essequibo Coast, who is committed to stand trial for murder, and Arnold Kennedy of Zealot, East Bank, Essequibo, who is committed to stand trial for murder. Police said the men escaped sometime between 17 hours 30 Tuesday and 6 hours Wednesday. The police said the 3 men were inside the prison when prison guards did their regular checks at 1700 hours on Tuesday. However, at about 2300 hours, the Joint Services ranks on the ground received information that prisoners had escaped. An alarm was raised, but searchers came up empty-handed. It was not until 6 hours of Wednesday, when a head count was made, that the prison authorities realized the men were missing. Kennedy was charged with the murder of 20-year-old fisherman Alvin, called Chukulu, which occurred on July 18, 2019. Matthias was imprisoned for the murder of 23-year-old laborer of Vilvoorde and Essequibo Coast, which occurred on December 31, 2018. Rufino was charged for the murder of 43-year-old Barbara Dale Troy Hercules during the course of a robbery. Persons are being asked to be on the alert and report any suspicious individuals or activities to the nearest police station or call telephone number 225-6411. The police said all information will be treated with the strictest confidence. APNU Plus AFC member Carol Smith-Joseph was on Wednesday slapped with 3 charges in relation to electoral fraud, while PNC Chairman Valda Lawrence and Region 4 Returning Officer Claremont Mingo faced additional charges. They appeared at the Georgetown Magistrates Court, where they were placed on bail of $30,000 on each charge.
APNU AFC member Carol Smith-Joseph on Wednesday made her first appearance at the Georgetown Magistrates Court, where she faced 1 count of forgery charge and 2 counts of conspiracy to defraud. The charges are related to the events following the March 2nd general and regional elections, in which she was an active player. Joseph was released on $30,000 bail for each charge, paying a total of $90,000. The opposition activist was charged jointly with the Guyana Elections Commission's employee Claremont Mingo, who is already facing several other fraud charges. Mingo, who served as the returning officer for Region 4 during the March elections, was also granted bail totaling $90,000. Also appearing in court on Wednesday was Chairman of the People's National Congress Reform, Valda Lawrence, who is already before the court on electoral fraud charges. She was charged for forgery and was placed on $30,000 bail. They were all represented by attorney Nigel Hughes, who told the media that he is displeased in the way in which the charges are brought in a piecemeal manner.
We have been repeatedly asking, we asked today, that when they're in a position to proceed with all the charges, for the purposes of efficiency, they should bring all those charges at one time, and then we can determine what's perhaps the most efficient way to have those cases heard before the several magistrates. Bringing them in drips every week or every 2 days does not help, particularly when you report to the court that you have not completed the investigation and that you're asking for more time. So our proposal was that they take a long day, whether it's December or January, when they're confident that they've concluded their investigation. We are aware of all the charges, so at that stage we can sit down, we can have some case management, and we can decide which cases go forward, or which cases are not going forward, which witnesses are going to come. Unfortunately, the present way in which they have elected to conduct this results in great inconvenience to all the persons charged.
Dozens of APNU supporters turned up at the court, calling for an end to what they termed as victimization against their leader. Lawrence, in her address to the crowd moments after leaving the courtroom, said having to visit the court every week is harassment.
This is harassment. Yes. This has got nothing to do with law, no order, no jury and whatever. This is just harassment. In my own purview, I feel that they got to please somebody. So every other week they got to march us to CID. Every other week they got to bring us to the court. I don't know. I tell my sister the next charge would be for the ink that the type on this farm wherever they got. But see that we gonna get charged.
According to Lawrence, the accused were all asked to revisit the Criminal Investigations Department on Thursday at 13 hours. The case was adjourned to October 28, 2020. Mingo and Lawrence are before the court on private criminal charges filed relating to the March elections. That case comes up on November 16th. Also before the court on similar charges are the Chief Elections Officer Keith Lowenfield, Deputy Chief Elections Officer Roxanne Myers, and other GCOM staff. Bibi Katun reporting for the newsroom.
Key officials at the Ministry of Education, including Minister Priya Manikchan, recently met with regional executive officers and regional education officers across the country to discuss plans for the eventual reopening of schools. According to a statement from the ministry, consideration is being given to have students in grades 10 and 11 return to the school first, as they need critical time in the classroom to complete school-based assessments or SBAs in the lead-up to CXC and CAPE. The minister stressed the importance of certain amenities such as running water, adequate toilet facilities, and other related features that each school should have for the reopening to happen. She acknowledged that such an undertaking is a costly exercise, but noted that the 2020 national budget caters for this blended approach to address the situation. The meeting also looked at how students at schools with dormitories will be adequately facilitated while still observing the COVID-19 social distancing guidelines. The ministry said it was the consensus of the officials that ongoing work had to be accelerated and efficiently managed to ensure the safety of both students and teachers and stakeholders as well, and this will also be addressed. Discussions were also held on ensuring adequate staffing and textbooks for schools in light of the pandemic, which will ensure certain restrictions are not infringed. In addition to the above, the Ministry of Education said it is currently undertaking works at schools across the country, installing additional sinks at the entrances and within schools. Additional toilets are being built as COVID-19 guideline signs are being erected in and around schools. There is also weeding and cleaning of school compounds that are ongoing. With schools closed since March this year due to the COVID-19 pandemic, Minister Priya Manikchan told the officials that it was important that every school be fully prepared to receive both students and teachers in the safest of environments when schools are approved for reopening by the Ministry of Health. Now, there are over 800 persons with COVID-19 who are listed as being in home isolation, but the opposition believes many of them are not adhering to the guidelines, and this is the reason why there is a significant increase in the number of cases and deaths. Speaking during a media briefing on Wednesday, APNU plus AFC executive member and former Minister of Health, Dr. Karen Cummings, explained that persons are not adhering to the protocols for home isolation. She advocated for each patient to be given a package of sanitary items and whatever is needed to protect others in the house from getting infected. In cases where there are many persons living together, Dr. Cummings said they should be moved on to a government facility. At the start of October, Guyana recorded 2,929 cases. Today, that number has moved to 3,796, while the number of deaths moved from 84 to 116.
On the 13th of October 2020, the Ministry of Health recorded 1,008 active cases of COVID-19, of which 876 infected persons were left to home isolate. In other words, the Minister of Health is hoping that approximately 9 in every 10 persons with coronavirus in Guyana will stay safely at home and keep away from family, from friends, and strangers at all times, while wearing a face mask all day once they are not sleeping. Thus, more persons become infected and die with each passing day as the COVID-19 pandemic marches on and the government does nothing of note. It is wishful thinking of the Minister of Health that he expects home isolated patients to stay at home, not infecting their families and not die. Ensure that they have their sufficient masks to change at home. You want to ensure that how they're disposing of their infectious waste In terms of the bin liners, you'll have to give them bin liners. You'll have to ensure that they have sufficient of these spray, what you call liquids that will, sanitizing the furniture and so forth. So you will have to give them, not just tell them to go home, and make sure you have Panadol and make sure they have to give them like a package, to ensure that they can go home and continue the treatment at home. But I'm not sure that's being done.
More news ahead. Stay with us. You're watching the newsroom. 1 year after being severely beaten during a robbery, Somdat Singh of Enmore, East Coast Demerara, is still unable to work and support his family and now pleads for assistance. Singh, a father of two who worked as a fisherman, was beaten by 3 men while on his way home from selling fish on June 20, 2019. He suffered damages to his spine and he also suffered a broken neck. His wife, during a telephone interview with the newsroom on Wednesday, explained that Singh is in constant pain and needs therapy. As such, the family is seeking the public's assistance. The woman also expressed her dissatisfaction with the slothful police investigation.
How he there, he can't go work anywhere because one day he goes to work and he come back and he start having for pain. He said that he can't sit down and watch his family getting struggling because no one not helping us. I feel it's hard because my son has to do online work for school, and I have to go and put on the internet for my small son to do internet work, and I find it really hard with it. The bills are knocking me up a lot. Whatever little I have, I try pinch it all the time, and one family one family helping me.
Okay.
But most of my family, every family I have poor because I don't have a mother. My husband, he's still having a lot of pain. He walking around and he doing one thing in the yard and so, but only said pain. There are a lot of pain there on his neck. If I could get a doctor, right, or get some help to take my husband to to get a properly injection, to let his pain ease from his neck, for every 6 months or so. If I could get help for that. We could eat salt and rice, but he needs to think because he was a cane cutter and he cannot work at the estate anymore. Now the estate going to open and he can't work anymore at the estate. He can't work, and if he has to go and work, he can't work hard. Okay. He's a hard-working guy, but he can't work hard. He was a cane cutter before, and then when the estate closed down, they had a little payoff, and he was even by a small boat and he was working at the sea. But now we had to sell out that boat and stuff to just get he to look after he. But that's all I have. I'm using all the time. The matter day in the court, we only have 2 call up. One of the guy they have, and he on running. He didn't have no jail or nothing. The doctor said he has to go to a therapy. They discharged him from the hospital, but he didn't discharge. He discharged him to a therapy. And when you go to the therapy, there was nothing much they doing. But I just do the most of the rubbing down, and so when he's having a lot of pain, I just do the rubbing down with my hand.
The government continues to hold outreaches across the country to listen firsthand to the concerns of residents and find ways to best resolve them. Minister of Local Government and Regional Development Nigel Darmlal recently visited Herstal in East Bank, Demerara. The minister announced that $1.5 million is being set aside for road upgrades in the community.
The funds to fix the road in Herstal will go to the Neighborhood Democratic Council. Minister of Local Government and Regional Development Nigel Darmlal announced during a recent visit to the area. Another $1 million will also be spent to procure streetlights for the community. President Irfan Ali has also approved $800,000 for all NDCs across the country. Darmlal said the focus of the ministerial outreaches is to fill the gap between issues and concerns of residents with the actions and policies of the government.
In the 70 NDCs in Guyana, every single NDC or NDC area has peculiar problems or peculiar issues. And I think it is imperative on my part as the minister responsible for NDC issues to come out and reach out with you so that together we can all come to a common position on how we resolve the problems that affect us on a daily basis. So the issues of drainage and irrigation, the issues of construction permits, the issues of solid waste management, the issues of jobs in communities, of housing in communities. All of these things serve part of the mandate of the Ministry of Local Government and Regional Development.
Residents of Hurstellen were given the opportunity to raise their concerns during the visit. A number of residents spoke about poor drainage and irrigation, the issue of squatting on the river banks, illegal dumping of garbage, and the need for developing the community playground. Here is what a few residents had to say.
We want the playfield. We like to have the playfield where we look at after putting things for children. This is a community project we're trying to get on. So that children in the community with the family could go and have a Sunday afternoon lime or during the week lime. And that is our main. We spent about 2 letters to them and they never replied.
I've been living in Hurstellen for the past 50 years. One place all the days of my life actually. And from the time I know myself living there, I've been bearing water morning, noon and night. Simply because of the drain. Now it's not because the NDC is not doing anything, but I feel it's because there is some big issue somewhere. Right? And I would like if the minister should send a team to looking into this problem.
But I'm trying to look out for everybody. I want things to do and do the right way. Understand?
Thank you.
To give them also that, we know if it's somewhere or somehow that they could put up more signs in the river dam, no building, no houses, or do something. Something has to be done. Okay? Because this is a very, very dangerous issue. It's a very dangerous issue. And these people here come from all walks of life. You understand? So the neighborhood's scared of these people.
Minister Darmlal made commitments to develop infrastructure and business in the area and urged the NDC to consult with residents on any projects and investments in the community. He explained that the government is taking this approach after numerous complaints with residents not being a part of the decision-making for their communities. Reporting for the newsroom, I am Isanalo Patwo.
Agriculture Minister Zulfikar Mustafa on Tuesday said private investment and public-private partnerships are needed to support rural communities. Guyana is currently observing Agriculture Month under the theme Investing in Agriculture for Poverty Reduction and Sustainable Development. Speaking at a virtual meeting of the Food and Agricultural Organization hosted by Nicaragua and attended by leaders in Latin America and the Caribbean, the minister said the government is taking several steps to ensure the rural agriculture industry is sustained even with the oil and gas sector.
Investment in the development of public goods such as agriculture mechanization, innovation, infrastructure, technical assistance, and access to farm-to-market in rural areas is important for development. Realistically, it is not feasible for a government budget to sufficiently finance all projects necessary. Therefore, increased investment through enhanced international cooperation with organizations such as the FAO are welcome. However, we are aware that funding from international organizations has its limitations, and therefore private investment and public partnerships are encouraged to increase the coverage of public goods and services, particularly in rural communities. Some of the measures we have begun are creating an enabling business environment for private sector by reducing burdensome taxes and other budgetary support. Additionally, we are strengthening our alliances with private sector. We have started internally to have created open dialogue with the FAO support. We intend to widen this to the Caribbean and Latin American countries to support exportable products to your countries.
When the newsroom returns, the financial weather and bridge reports along with sport. Welcome back. You're watching the newsroom and it's time for sport. The recently formed Guyana Gym Owners and Trainers Association aims to bring structure to the fitness industry while addressing the immediate and long-term problems that gym owners, trainers, and gym members face. The body is headed by a licensed Zumba instructor and includes a mix of experienced and professional individuals in the fitness industry. Avinash Ramzan spoke with the president on Wednesday.
So I'm joined by Nishavia King, and she is Guyana's only licensed Zumba instructor. She is the owner of Genesis Fitness Gym and now president of the recently formed Guyana Gym Owners and Trainers Association. Nishavia, I know you're very busy, so welcome and thank you very much for speaking with us.
Thank you for having me.
So the Guyana Gym Owners and Trainers Association has been formed, and as I understand it, its immediate focus is to really represent the interests and concerns of gym owners, trainers, gym members as it relates to what's been happening or not happening during COVID.
Yes.
We know that gyms have been closed for several months now, and there have been numerous calls, especially on social media, for those gyms to be reopened. Tell us a bit about the conversations that you guys would have had that led to the formation of this new body.
A group of us have been at home, like you said, because of the closure of gyms. So we have been conversing on Facebook and Instagram, on WhatsApp. And we thought that this would be the right time, because again, we didn't have any representation for us. A lot of the different associations, we have the bodybuilding association, powerlifting, Olympic association, but there was no association to really address the needs of gym owners and trainers in Guyana. And we thought that this was the perfect time. And being the perfect time, we were all in quarantine. We had nowhere to go, no work to go to really. So this was actually the perfect time for us to have such a conversation, seeing that we all had the time too.
Just put into perspective, the economic impact that the closure of gyms would have had on you guys for the last couple of months.
Devastating for some. Because they mention only the trainers, the owners, but we also have receptionists, we have cleaners. They also are breadwinners of their families. So it has been a rough 7 months for most of us. So it has been very challenging, but we're hopeful that within the next month, something will be done in pertaining to the gyms reopening.
And of course, I think one of the main things is actually reaching out to the National Task Force to get a permission and approval for that to happen.
Yes, we have already presented the task force, Ministry of Health, Minister of Sports, to have safe reopening of the gyms. We're not saying to open the gyms, just like they were before. We want to open the gyms, but safely and with guidelines to make sure everyone is protected as well. And we think it can be done. It has been done in other countries, and we see no reason why it can be done here in Guyana as well.
In the statement of purpose, you guys mentioned that the fitness industry, while being very large, it is a bit disorganized and fragmented. And the aim is to really build and represent a structured community for the betterment of the industry, as the whole focus is on addressing immediate and long-term problems. If you could, what are some of those issues that you guys have encountered over the years that you think that should be addressed?
Well, definitely, immediately, we want to first address the issue of reopening of gyms. That was our main goal to start. Extendedly, we want to have a standard, a level, international level of trainers and trainers, especially and instructors. We want to do accreditation. We want to do training here in Guyana. Most trainers would have to go abroad, to get some sort of accreditation or something, to advance in their fitness or their training. So we want to provide that right here in Guyana. So those are some of the things. We're a new group. We have a great executive team, professional team, well experienced. So we're just looking forward to working and really changing the fitness industry in Guyana.
This association, of course, is open to gyms across the country, right? Because for far too often we've seen stuff being centralized in Georgetown. What is the aim in terms of ensuring that all gyms are captured in this network?
Well, as of now, we're focusing on Georgetown just because of the pandemic and those things. But we are open to all regions of Guyana. Membership is open as of right now. We have a meeting actually this weekend, and we will decide on the registration and how it will be done. We plan on opening our Facebook page and sharing that information and Instagram page as well. But we're looking for trainers, we're looking for owners, we're looking for nutritionists, we're looking for physiotherapists, anyone basically who's surrounded or involved in health and fitness. In the industry. We're looking to have them come on board because we want to represent them all and come together as one body to represent health and fitness and trainers in Guyana.
Shavi, thank you very much and all the best to the association in its endeavors.
Thank you very much for having me.
That's it from me. Neil Marks, Avinash Ramzan has the rest of sport.
Squash news now. The Guyana Squash Association, in a recent meeting, Mr. Charles Ramson Jr. revealed their endeavor for there to be a home to cater for all racket disciplines that can now allow Guyana to host international events. Akim Green reports.
Currently, the Georgetown Club courts in Carmen Street serve as the hub for squash in Guyana, while when there is a regional event, some matches are held at the National Racket Center at Wolford Avenue. The National Gymnasium and the Cliff Anderson Sports Hall are the base for badminton and table tennis, and the Racket Center and the National Park cater for lawn tennis. The idea of the GSA is to have one facility with numerous courts, which would allow Guyana to bid for international tournaments. This agenda was put forward by the executives in their second meeting with the minister. The association was represented by its president, David Fernandes, vice president, Owen Vorey, director, Robin Lowe, and assistant secretary, Annabella Singh.
One of the big things is, in the proposal that was presented to the minister, is a facility that will have, about 5 courts in one location. And 5 courts in one location brings you to the standards for most of the sports, most of the racket sports, meeting most of the standards of the IOC to host regional events. You have 5 facilities or 5 courts in one location.
In the interim, Vorey hopes the National Racket Center on Wolford Avenue can be maximized given the numerous schools in close proximity.
Trying to find a new home, a permanent home for squash and the 3 other major racket sports: badminton, lawn tennis, and table tennis. And using the facility at Wolford Avenue to its maximum. Right? And focusing on a program that will do some amount of a little more cohesion of people. Focusing on a program that really trap or be able to bring the maximum to the large number of students that are in and around that vicinity of Georgetown and nearest to that Wolford Avenue Center.
The Racket Center was opened in 2011, and then President Barrett Jagdeo said the construction of the Racket Center is one way of wanting to broaden the access for people from rural areas in and around the city can gain the use of standard sport facilities. It was constructed at a cost of just under 29 million Guyana dollars. For the newsroom, Akim Green.
Football news now. The Guyana Football Federation has appointed a scholarship committee styled the Guyana Football Scholarship Committee that will be responsible for the formulation of the Guyana Football Federation's scholarship program. More in this report. The 5-member committee, whose mandate will be for 1 year, is an ad hoc one in accordance with Article 56 of the GFF Constitution and consists of Olato Sam, who is the chairman, Raul Small, Henry Chase, Laverne Fraser, and Charissa Rampersad. Chairman Sam is the current education specialist in the Office of the Minister of Education and a former Chief Education Officer. President of the Guyana Football Federation, Wayne Ford, said as leaders they have a moral obligation to create life-changing opportunities for young boys and girls who passionately dedicate their lives to football. He said, and I quote, "It is our duty to ensure that each player has equal and fair access to the boundless opportunities of their football experience and are inspired to model the qualities of good discipline, dedication and hard work. A solid education is a lifetime gift, and I'm confident that many of our players will follow in the footsteps of those who have benefited from scholarship opportunities and have gone on to lead productive lives while contributing to the greater good of the Guyanese society." End quote. Chairman Olato Sam said the members of the committee are extremely honored to be given the opportunity to serve the youths of Guyana. He said, and I quote, "We are committed to establishing a framework that would positively impact the lives of our talented players. We applaud the GFF for making this a priority area and look forward to supporting its efforts in advancing football in our country." End quote. The establishment of a scholarship committee by the governing body is a first for football in Guyana. Cricket news now. Chennai Super Kings IPL 2020 woes have deepened with Dwayne Bravo ruled out for the rest of the season. The West Indian all-rounder has suffered a grade 1 tear to his right groin and will leave the United Arab Emirates on Thursday. Bravo suffered the injury during the Super Kings match against Delhi Capitals on October 17 and was able to bowl only 3 of his 4 overs. Bravo did not feature in the Super Kings' next match against Rajasthan Royals on Monday. He missed the start of the season with a knee injury that he sustained during the Caribbean Premier League. He has since featured in 6 of Super Kings' 10 matches, taking 6 wickets while returning an economy rate of 8.57 and batting just twice down the order, scoring 7 runs. The injury could also rule him out of the 3 T20s West Indies are down to play against hosts New Zealand in late November. And Royal Challengers Bangalore decimated Kolkata Knight Riders by 8 wickets to move to number 2 on the points table in the IPL on Wednesday. Knight Riders became the team to score the lowest total without being bowled out in an IPL game, limping to 84 for 8. 4 of their top 5 batsmen fell for single-figure scores, and it was skipper Iron Morgan who top-scored with 30. Bowling for RCB, Mohammad Siraj became the first man to bowl 2 maidens in an IPL spell, claiming 3 for 8, and Yuzvendra Chahal claimed 2 for 15. The innings included 4 maidens, another IPL record. RCB had knocked off the target in 13.3 overs, with opener Devdutt Padikkal and Aaron Finch hitting 46 in the power play. Both were dismissed in the same over, Padikkal for 25 and Finch for 16, before Gurkirat Singh with 21 not out and Virat Kohli 18 sealed the win, RCB's 7th of the season, which puts them level on points with leaders Delhi Capitals. Tomorrow it's match 40 of the league and it's Rajasthan Royals versus Sunrisers Hyderabad from 10 hours in Dubai. And with that, we've come to the end of the news for this evening. My name is Avinash Ramzan. Thanks for watching.